When the Colonel's original crispy fried chicken recipe was leaked online, I truly thought it was the end of an era of secrets. But alas, I discovered more secrets that I'm going to share with you in the key of E minor, the moodiest key of all time. I guess now I'm officially ending the era of secrets, because this is such an incredible key. And I'm going to tell you all about why that is for some stuff that you're never going to forget. E minor. If G major is the people's key, E minor is the people's sad key at night. So you're going to want to learn this one. This video is sponsored by Elixir Strings. Love these strings. If you like the way this guitar sounds, just check out one of these sets. I've got an affiliate link in the description. They last forever. You barely have to ever change these strings. That's probably my favorite thing about them, aside from the tone, is that you just don't have to change them as much. So you have so much more time to investigate deep, dark secrets like the Colonel has been hiding for so long, until that fateful Reddit post that cued us all in to his secret ways. So E minor is a chord. It's also a key. It's probably the first chord you've ever learned. Open E, 2A, 2D, open G, open B, open E. What a great chord. Simply the best chord ever. Even just by itself, if you like pick it right. There's so much that you can do just with that. That's why it's usually the first chord that you learn. It's the easiest one to play. But there's so much more that you can do that actually isn't a lot more difficult, but it's something that kind of took me a while to actually piece together the simple ways that you could use this key. Now, the main secret is that all the open strings are in this key, right? If we talk about the notes in E minor, it would be E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. So basically all the natural notes, but instead of having F natural, or an F major chord, we have F sharp, which, is where that unlocks the D major chord. Now we'll talk more about those chords later, but what that means is all the open strings, E, A, D, G, B, E, those are in this key, all right? Now, E minor and G major share the same notes. They share the same collection of chords, but when you really kind of drive the E-ness of this sound is where the magic kind of gets unlocked. And that's why having the lowest tuned note on your guitar in standard tuning, an E, really being resonated with these incredible Elixir strings that are broken in just perfectly right now. Did I mention there's an affiliate link in the description? Basically, ties the sound together, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to take a different voicing of the same chord and just go right here. Okay, now what we've got here is my ring fingers on the E on the 7th fret of the A string. Okay, so this is an octave from the lowest note. Basically the same note as 2 on the D string, right? But now what I want to do is I want to grab the 5th fret on the D string to kind of get a different chord voicing. Okay, now by itself, doesn't sound so different, but the nice thing is, once we're getting into kind of like the meat of the guitar here, the center, it really unlocks a lot of cool things we can do, right? So what I want to do is I want to take some notes from this key, from this scale, however you want to look at it, and then start running them into different chord voicings and coming up with different sounds, all right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to take a second just to look at this way to play the E minor pentatonic scale inside the neck. All right, so I see this as like a diamond shape in my mind's eye. 7A, 5D, 7D, 9D, 7G, 9G. Okay, there's something a little more musical about being able to slide into that than that kind of traditional open 3, open 2, open 2. Same difference, right? But in fact, just doing that as an exercise is a great way to kind of familiarize with yourself with a lot of the different touchstones and points of interest just through the neck in different positions, all right? Now what I can do is I can maybe just like hit that low E string and get the rest of the chord. Now all I did there is I'm just kind of like adding those notes that I was playing before and then really just kind of like combining them with essentially droning the open strings on this guitar, right? So all I'm doing there is maybe I'm taking this first kind of shape as a chord. I can add my pinky now, so now it's open E7, A7, D. I'm making essentially kind of like a different chord right here. This could be like a A minor power chord, however you want to look at it, doesn't really matter. It just sounds cool. We're playing around an E. If you can get this guy in, that reach, where it's open E7, A9, D. First of all, this reach is just impressive. Show this off to the guys and girls down the block and they'll be like, whoa! That person knows they're in a mood right there. I want in because look at that reach. And then you can also end up right there. Love this one. Again, this is kind of like a minor 7 chord voicing, but like a cool one that's kind of tucked inside the guitar. Open E7, A5, D7, G. And you'll also notice that for most of these sounds, I'm getting the top to ring out. Because at its core, an E minor is any combination of an E, a G, and a B. The beautiful thing about standard tuned guitar, G, B, and E are just the top of the string set, right? So, you can add just an empty string set on top to any of these chord voicings. It's like all of that is just so simple to do, even though I'm a little wired on cold brew coffee right now, as you may be able to tell by my speaking pattern and the way that I'm playing guitar. I love how like one of the main comments was like, bro, I kind of like these videos, but could you please slow down? Wish that were an option, guys. Just can't. I got 2 speeds. This and passed out. So we're just gonna continue to kind of go through some of these shapes, because essentially these shapes are only fretting 2 notes, which how awesome is that? That's the beauty of that E minor chord, because it's just you're fretting 2 notes. The open strings are doing a lot of heavy lifting, but a lot of people kind of stop here, and then maybe they'll do other chords in the key like A minor, B minor, G major, D major, C major, F sharp, half diminished, which are the other keys, which we'll get to in a second. After I draw attention to how great these Elixir strings are. Come on, guys. Help me out. Helps me out a lot if you click the affiliate link and you grab these, because Elixir has been such a great partner of mine, and I would love to have that continue. So everybody get some of that purple pack under your belt. And let's talk about more 2 fretted chord voicings we could use, all right? So I kind of just quickly went through all the other chords in this key. All right. I always think of minor keys as the relative minor from a major key, right? So what that means is the people's key, the key of G, has 7 notes, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Now, the reason that sounds different, this doesn't sound like what we've been playing. You're like, you lied to me, I thought this was gonna be a moody lesson, and then I'm just playing cowboy country chords. Well, this is the beauty of the natural minor, is like once you change the tonal center to minor, all the information that you have about the key of G is still relevant, because all those notes are still, they haven't changed. The locations of those notes haven't changed, the chords haven't changed, but the mood has changed. And that's why I really kind of like hammering those drone notes and playing 2-note chord voicings where the E minor is essentially floating on top of everything else in the key is super, super important. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and just play just kind of like a root note and its third tracked along the A and the D strings. What I mean by that is you've probably played C major, right? Right? 3 on the A string, 2 on the D string, open G, 1 on the B string, open E. We all know that one. I want to play it like this, but I want to play it just with your middle finger and your pinky finger, or just either way. It doesn't really matter how you kind of fret it, but we're gonna track this all the way down to kind of get a bunch of different chords in the mix. All right. So now when I leave this E minor on top of a C major chord, it actually ends up being one of my favorite chords of all time, C major 7. Right. So that's a great chord in itself. But I can continue on, and now I have what I'm thinking of as a D major chord. But it's so much more. Like here's a regular D major chord, which again exists in that key. But then when you add the instant mood and mystery, right? So, C major, D, what's after D in the alphabet, the musical alphabet, because again, there's no sharps except for F in this. So we skip D sharp and go right to E. There's our home base. There's that reach again. Oh, you're doing so good on that reach. You know what's crazier than this? The people who reached like this, right? With the middle finger to, oh, wild. Check out the Patreon for more of that, because that's some advanced stuff. Now after the E, we can choose to bring this to the F sharp, which is the 9th fret. But essentially, the idea here is we just have two shapes. We have the major shape on C and D, the minor shape on E and F sharp, the major shape again on G, which is the 10th fret, so now I'm 10 and 9. And again, when I say major versus minor, all it means is really the distance between the root note and its third. This is a major third, this is a minor third, okay? Even just going backwards through like that, just 2 notes at a time, is something that's really interesting that you should really check out. So I know like a lot of these lessons kind of jump all over the place, but it's hard to find out exactly where somebody is in their journey, because I was the same way. Like I would like pick up little bits and pieces from a song here, little bits and pieces from a song there. So it's like jumping right into any kind of guitar lesson. I just kind of wanted as much information as I could get. And maybe you only take one thing from this lesson where it's like, oh, the 9th fret, F sharp, kind of see as another minor chord in the key, whatever. Back to major, and then minor on A and B, which is the 10th fret, or the 12th fret, and the 14th fret, right? So we've got C major in my mind, even though again, it's technically C major 7, to D, E minor, F sharp, half diminished, G major, A minor, B, and then now being able to kind of track those along a line, just left to right, super helpful for really just kind of getting the intervals of any kind of music or any kind of key ingrained in your muscle memory, all right? So now I'm just gonna play a little bit, hyped up on cold brew coffee, thinking about the Colonel and his crispy fried chicken recipe, even though I'm a vegan now. Haven't always been. It's been 7 years. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Vegan dudes love when you ask them about it. Trust me, if I know one thing, if there's one thing that's not a secret, it's that. I'm just gonna go back and forth and kind of hop around and try to make it sound interesting. E minor, G, C, E, G, C, A minor, G, F sharp, E. Add some dynamic. The beautiful thing is you can kind of just pick inside of it, and because the open strings help you out, there's no bad notes. I can even do hammer-ons. Okay, so I do want to go a little bit deeper into some of these other chord voicings. For instance, triads in general. I've done a ton of videos on these, like G major, right? You've probably seen like a bar chord. If we just take the major triad for G, C, and D, this is kind of a great thing that we can add to maybe some more minor sounding things. So again, this is going to be one more fretted note that we can add. This could be the next step if you kind of get beyond just tracking those 2-note chords around. So now I've got a root note, major third, and a 5th right here. So this is G major, 5, 4, 3. This to C, 10, 9, 8. D, 12, 11, 10. Right? Again, now it sounds happy. We got to get that E in there, right? So let's go from here. The first thing we did where it's open E, 7A, 5D. Move that down a string. Now I'm thinking of my root note as being A, which is A minor, right? A minor there, A minor here, E minor, A minor, G. A minor, D, can jump to the G, F sharp, E, D, C, E. I love the sound of kind of like just descending through a chord scale. Add the hammer-ons. And those are some of the secrets in the key of E minor. Thanks again to Elixir Strings for sponsoring the video. Check out the Patreon for more lessons in order so I don't jump around as much, because that's the value of the Patreon, is like it's ordered sequentially, where it's like building on one another instead of having to just kind of like shotgun post lessons on YouTube. But I appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot.